Hare Krishna, can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay, I'm very sorry. Uh, I had to attend to some urgent thing, so I could not join on time. Actually, I joined, but I had to leave. So, anyways, so we will start. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. So we have been discussing from the 16th chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as Description of Jambudvipa. So Parikshit Maharaj, he describes he d- after this whole Rahuguna episode and clarifying what is this allegorical story of the forest of material enjoyment. Parikshit Maharaj said that you have described the specific dimensions of Bhumandala. So, and in Bhumandala, seven oceans were created by the seven ditches made by the wheel of Priyavrat Maharaj's chariot, from which the seven islands of Bhumandala appeared. And I desired to know about all about these oceans and islands which were formed, which means the you know the Saptadvipas, and the seven oceans surrounding them. So he says that I wish to know about all these things. So can you please speak? And he says that the mind of one who is fixed on the Lord's gross form, which is made of matter, can absorb itself in the supreme Brahman, which is Bhagavan. So here, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti says that this indicates that Parikshit Maharaj asked the question not for himself, but at the request of the Bhakti Mishra yogis present at the gathering who desired to concentrate their minds on the form of the Lord, on the gross form of the universe. So Shukadeva Goswami replied, he says that actually it is not possible even for a person with the lifespan of a devata to understand by words or mind the end of the transformations of Maya's gunas. Um, Therefore, by giving a general description, I will explain the particulars of this Bhumandala or Bhuloka. Hmm. So he says that the central portion within the seven islands of the Bhumandala is called Jambudweep, and this Jambudweep is 100,000 yojanas wide and is circular like a lotus leaf. So in Jambudweep, there are nine divisions of land, each extending to a width of 9,000 yojanas, completely separated by eight mountain ranges. So we have seen this. This is the Kuru Varsha, Hiranmaya Varsha, Ramyaka Varsha, Ketumala Varsha, Bhadrashva Varsha, Ilavrata Varsha, Hari Varsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, and Bharata Varsha, each separated by mountains like Shringavan, Shweta, Neela, Malyavan, Gandhamadana, Nishada, Hemakuta, and Himalaya. Okay. So these are he calls them as, what is that? Maryada Giri, you know, mountains which um, act as borders. Hmm. Okay. So in the center of all this is the Ilavrita Varsha. So the center, the central, the centermost is the Ilavrita Varsha, that you see here. Are you able to see where I am moving the cursor? Are you able to see? Okay. So the centermost is the Ilavrita Varsha. In the center of that Ilavrita Varsha is uh, the Meru mountain, and surrounding the Meru mountain are smaller mountains. You see here the four smaller mountains. So, yeah, so this is the construction. Okay. So, in the center of these is Ilavrita, in the center of which is Meru, the king of the mountains, which is made of gold, whose height is the length of Jambudvip. The height of Meru is the length of Jambudvip, and which acts as the pericarp of the lotus of Bhumandala. At its top, it measures 32,000 yojanas, and at the base, 16,000 yojanas, and it extends 16,000 yojanas within the earth. So we saw this. So the total height of Meru is 100,000 yojanas, of which 16,000 is below Bhumandala and 84,000 is above Bhumandala. So it's really an unbelievably tall mountain, Meru Parvat. It's an unbelievably tall mountain. So just north of Ilavrita Varsha and going further northward, one after another are three mountains named Neela, Shweta, and Shringavan. So Neela, Shweta, and Shringavan. So each one is 10% smaller than the other. This calculation is wrong. I apologize. This calculation is wrong. It should not be 9330. It has to be 93,300 minus 9,330. It must be that much. I made a mistake, calculation mistake. Okay. And these mark the borders of the three Varshas named Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru. The width of these mountains is 2,000 yojanas. Lengthwise, they extend east to west to the ocean of salt water. The length of each mountain decreases by a little more than 10% compared to the previous mountain. Similarly, the south of Ilavrita Varsha, at the bottom, are the three mountains Nishada, Hemakuta, and Himalaya. You see, Nishada, Hemakuta, and Himalaya. Each of them is 100,000 yojanas high, similar to Neela and the rest. They mark the boundaries of the three Varshas named Harivarsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, and Bharata Varsha. Harivarsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, and Bharata Varsha. They act as the Maryada Giris. In the same way, west and east of Ilavrita Varsha are two great mountains named Malyavan and Gandhamadana. We saw, right? Yeah, here, Malyavan and Gandhamadana. They act as the Maryada Giri to separate Ketumala and Ilavrita and Bhadrashva and Ilavrita. These two mountains, which are 2,000 yojanas high, extend as far as Neela mountain in the north and Nishada in the south. They produce the borders of the Varshas known as Ketumala and Bhadrashva. Okay, so this is where we ended our discussion yesterday. We will continue this discussion further. There was a suggestion yesterday, not during the class, offline, that because it is going to be Vedic cosmology, there won't be much of philosophical questions based on what we may discuss here. So the Q&A session can be used to address some unanswered questions from some previous discussions. If it is there, we can we can utilize them. Okay. So yeah, and any specific cosmology related question, how if I'm able to answer, I will answer. If not, whenever Prem Gaurang Prabhu and Pavaneshwar Prabhu come, they will be able to answer. Okay, so let us start today's discussion. Yes, starting from the 11th verse onwards. Okay. मंदरो मेरुमंदरः सुपार्श्वः कुमुद इति अयुतयोजन विस्तार उन्नाः मेरोश्चतुर्दिशम् अवष्टम्बगिरय उपक्लुप्ताः. On the four sides of the great mountain known as Sumeru are four mountains Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, and Kumuda, which are supporting mountains, which are the supporting mountains. The length and height of these mountains are calculated to be 10,000 yojanas. You see here, these are the four. Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, and Kumuda. Okay. The length and height of the supporting mountains is 10,000 yojanas. Since they act as the support of Meru in the center, the mountains on the east and west side of Meru run south and north in length, and the mountains on the north and south run east and west. If each mountain is 10,000 yojanas wide, Ilavrita would disappear, since it is only 9,000 yojanas on either side of Meru. This would contradict the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:16-16 stating that juice cascades from the Mandara mountain in waterfalls and becomes a river called Arunoda, which flows pleasantly through the eastern side of Ilavrita. Okay. Each mountain was 10,000 yojanas wide. If each mountain was 10,000 yojanas wide, Ilavrita would disappear since it is only 9,000 yojanas on either side. Because Meru is also there in the center. Yeah, that's what. If each mountain was 10,000 yojanas wide. So it is only length and not width, I guess. The length and height. So it cannot be length and width. It has to be length and height. Okay, like that. So he is giving an explanation. If the width was 10,000, then it is impossible for, Ilavrita will completely disappear. That's what he says. They spread out in the four directions. Chaturdisham. Okay, these are the four. Mandara, Meru Mandara, Suparshva, and Kumuda. These are the four. Chaturshu eteshu Chuta Jambu Kadamba Nyagrodas Chatvarah Padapa Pravaraha Parvata Ketava Iva Adi Sahasra Yojana Unnahas Tavad Vitapa Vitatyaha Shatayojana Parinahaha. He says, standing like flagstaffs on the summit of these four mountains, starting with Mandara, are a mango tree, a rose apple or a jambu tree, a kadamba tree, and a banyan tree. So on top of each of these four mountains are one tree each. And those trees are calculated to have a width of 100 yojanas and a height of 1100 yojanas. Their branches also spread out for a length of 1100 yojanas. My God, these are like, when you can't call them trees, I don't know what you will call them. They're trees, but we have not seen anything even, we can't even imagine anything close to the dimensions which are mentioned here. Their height is over 1,000, meaning 1100 yojanas, and their branches spread out that length. The width is 100 yojanas. So here, I would like to just touch one small point. See, sometimes our own devotees mention that these descriptions are allegorical or cannot be taken literally, because they will say that, nowadays we have very easily available, the technology has improved, and you can have these photographs from far up, and clearly, these kind of descriptions are not seen. Someone may say like that. Okay. But If these descriptions were allegorical and not literal, our acharyas would have clearly mentioned. Our acharyas would have clearly mentioned. So now, elsewhere, we will very soon see that in the description of the Jambudvipa in this very chapter, I guess, there will be a description very clearly mentioned that people from one Varsha of Bharata Varsha, people from one Varsha within Jambudvip cannot travel to the other Varsha also. Okay, cannot travel, even though there is a physical distance mentioned. Uh, and even if you may actually, um, construct a vehicle which may travel at that speed and travel such distances, very clearly Bhagavatam says that one cannot travel from one Varsha to another Varsha unless they are very extraordinary souls. Like sometimes Arjuna, it is mentioned that he could travel from one Varsha to another Varsha. But ordinary human beings cannot travel from one Varsha to another Varsha. It is not possible, which means they cannot, not just they cannot travel, but they cannot see and perceive also. It is in a whole different dimension. So these descriptions, whatever NASA photograph and everything that you may try to find out, you know, we it is not possible. They cannot do it. So uh, this is where one thing we should be very careful, that we cannot, our belief of these scriptures is not dependent on the validation by modern science. Actually, people get very excited when they saw, with modern science validating certain things or seemingly validating certain things. Like, for example, they found a small, from one of the NASA photographs showed a small string type of thing which was, which connected, India with Sri Lanka. Okay, which connects India with Sri Lanka. So people get very excited. They say, "Oh, this proves that this is Lord Ramachandra's bridge," like that. But we don't have to get excited. We definitely believe in it. What if science does not prove it? And of course, Prabhupada in some of his purports say that the Sri Lanka mentioned here is not this Sri Lanka, but it is Brazil. Okay. Anyways, that is whole thing to debate on. And moreover, if you see, um, you know, uh, moreover, if you see, this whole Lord Ramachandra's pastimes happened, you know, a minimum of 4 Chaturyugas before. Okay, one Chaturyuga is, mm, you know, 43 lakh 20,000 years, which means we are talking about roughly about, uh, you know, about, yeah, 4 into 43 lakh 20,000 years, almost like 1.7 crore years before. Okay. So it is very, and even if you assume that it is the same, this thing, if it is the same bridge. So therefore, we are like, we don't really, mm, and also Ramayana mentions that as soon as the whole Lord Ramachandra returned back from um, Sri Lanka, he touched the bridge with the tip of his bow and the bridge vanished, it says. So if you accept these kind of descriptions, then some photographs here, there, and we start speculating and getting excited. We don't have to do that. our Acharya Vani is good enough. Our Acharya Vani is good enough. If they say that, or if Ramayana says, or if our Acharyas explain that it was there, then it is there. That's it. Okay. So, so these descriptions of, now we will see a description, very mind-boggling descriptions we are going to see right now. You may think that, is this really true or is this allegorical? You know, one may be forced to think that, if someone says, in fact, some of us may be just hoping that some acharyas say that this is just an allegorical description. Uh, because we will feel pacified by that. But no, none of the acharyas say that it is allegorical. So once, I had this experience, of course, the mistake was mine. I totally accept it. One senior devotee was presenting on the Vyasasan, mentioning that these cosmological descriptions of Bhagavatam are allegorical because they do not mathematically kind of, they do not mathematically, are the observable. It is not like that, they say. For example, something as simple as the distance between the diameter of Bhugola or something like that, uh, the Earth planet. Okay. So, so therefore, they say that, okay, this is allegorical or non-literal. They cannot be taken literally. They say like that. So I asked, I made a mistake. I should not have asked on the Vyasasan. I should have asked personally, uh, you know, after the class. That was a big mistake on my part. Uh, I honestly did not intend to challenge, but definitely it was taken that way. I asked, Prabhuji, you said it should be taken allegorically. Is there any mention of the acharyas for any of these descriptions that these descriptions are allegorical? And the devotee became furious. He became furious. It was perceived as I was challenging his credibility only, which is very natural. And I agree. I agree it was my mistake. He said, isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious? They don't have to mention things which are very obvious. It is very obvious that these are allegorical. I said, okay, Prabhu, okay, okay, okay. But the point is, no. If the acharyas don't say that it is allegorical, then it is not allegorical. It is literal. It's just that we are incapable of perceiving it. Maybe it's in a different dimension. We do not have the ability to perceive. That is how we should take. Otherwise, uh, then where is the question of faith in the pramana, faith in the acharyas? If they don't say it is allegorical, just because it makes no practical sense to us, we cannot just say that, okay, oh, this is allegorical. This must be allegorical. No. For wherever, things are mentioned in an allegorical way, our acharyas do mention. So if they have not mentioned, it is not allegorical. Okay. So, there are many things which, our devotees also, even those devotees who are working on Bhagavatam cosmology, who have been working for decades, some of them are unable to reconcile some of the, uh, numerical values which are given with respect to, lengths and other such things. When Prem Gaurang Prabhu comes, you can ask him. So, but Prem Gaurang Prabhu had full faith that these things, if the acharyas have not mentioned them to be allegorical, Srila Prabhupada does not mention it to be allegorical, so it cannot be allegorical. So if we are not able to reconcile, it's our problem. Very clearly, he had this faith. So because he approached with faith, Bhagavatam revealed to him. He could reconcile many of those mathematical values which devotees have been grappling for decades. And they had resigned that, okay, this must be allegorical. And Prem Garang Prabhu showed, no, this is not allegorical. This is how it should be understood. So, for example, something as simple as the diameter of Earth. Okay, the diameter of Earth as given in Bhagavatam and as we know. Hmm. So he says that the diameter of the Earth mentioned is much larger than uh, what is observed. So he said, no, look, when they say diameter, they don't say diameter, they say distance between the 2 points. So now you say distance between the 2 points is the shortest distance. But the shortest distance cannot be traversed. Okay. Now, if you see, I am standing in my room, I am standing right next to the wall. Okay. Now, there is a spot right on the other side of the wall, which is just about half a feet from where I am standing. But if I have to reach that place, I don't have to, it's not that I travel half a feet. I have to travel almost 10 to 12 meters because there is a wall in between. That wall will not allow me to traverse to that point, which is just half a feet from me. It will not allow me to travel because there is a wall in between. So I have to travel 10 to 12 meters to come to that spot, which is just half a meter from me. So similarly, if you have to traverse from one end, one end of Earth to the other end of the Earth, you cannot travel by boring a tunnel through the Earth. It is not possible. So you will have to traverse half the circumference. Okay, half the circumference. So which is so the distance is not d, the diameter of Earth. The distance between so you think the distance between these 2 points should be d, but Bhagavatam gives the traversable distance. You will have to traverse pi d by 2, half the circumference of or half the perimeter, pi d by 2. So that's why you see the difference in value. So, but these things have to be revealed. So that's why you see the difference in this thing. So these are things which therefore one has to have faith. One has to trust the words of the acharyas. Then it will be revealed. Otherwise, we cannot reconcile them. The only thing that we can say is, I am unable to reconcile that much. So we don't have to reconcile them by telling that, oh, this must be allegorical. Oh, if this was allegorical, definitely our acharyas should have mentioned it. If our acharyas have not mentioned it, then it is not allegorical. Clear. You cannot say that. That is not within our adhikar to do that. So, yeah. So now the Shukadev Goswami is going to reveal mind-boggling details. Mind-boggling details. I mean, I don't think any one of us will internally accept this, that this reality is literal. He says, Hradas Chatvaraha Payo Madhu Ikshurasa Mrishta Jala Yad Upasparshina Upadeva Gana Yogaishwaryani Swabhavikani Bharatarishabha Dharayanti Devodyanani Cha Bhavanti Chatvari Nandanam Chaitraratam Vibhrajakam Sarvato Badram Iti. O Maharaj Parikshit, O best of the Bharata dynasty, on these four mountains are four huge lakes filled with milk, honey, sugarcane juice, and pure water, respectively. It's a lake. lake which is made of these things. The celestial beings such as the Siddhas, Charanas and Gandharvas who use those waters naturally possess perfections of mystic yoga. There are also four celestial gardens named Nandana, Chaitraratha, Vaibrajaka and Sarvatobhadra. येषु अमर परिवृदाः सह सुरललना ललाम यूतपतय उपदेवगणैर उपगीयमान महिमानः किल विहरन्ति. Groups of best of the devatas along with their wives enjoy within those gardens while their glories are sung by upadevatas. Parivriddaha means the best, lalama means ornament. मंदरोत्संग एकादश शत योजनोत्तुंग देवचूत शिरसो गिरिशिखर स्थूलानि फलानि अमृत कल्पानि पतंती. Okay. Then he says that on the lower slopes of the Mandara mountain is a mango tree named Devachuta, 1100 yojanas high. Mangoes as big as mountain peaks and as sweet as nectar fall from the top of this tree. Mangoes as big as mountain peaks. Okay. The size of the fruit is mentioned in the Vayu Purana. You see here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes this. So which means this is confirmed by the other Puranas also. Aratninam shatanyashtav ekashashti adhikani cha pala pramanam akyatam rishibis tattvadarshibhi. The sages, the seers of truth say that the dimension of the fruit is 861 aratnis, which means 861 into 1.5 feet. 861 into 1.5 feet. That is the dimension of the fruit. तेषां विशीर्यमाणानाम् अतिमधुर सुरभि सुगन्धि बहुल अरुण रसोदेन अरुणोदा नाम नदी मन्दरगिरिशिखरान् निपतन्ति पूर्वेण इलावृतम् उपप्लावयति. The river named Arunoda, filled with reddish liquid, fragrant and very sweet, mixed with other scents arising from broken ripe mangoes, falls from the peak of Mandara mountain and flows into Ilavrita on the eastern side. And guess what? These rivers flow, but that mango juice does not it does not become rotten. It does not become rotten. So which means they had whatever. Ideally, if you see, now you will see milk ocean. Milk ocean. Milk, if you keep outside of the refrigerator for more than a day, what will happen? If you keep milk outside the refrigerator for more than a day, forget about more than a day. If you keep it for a few hours outside the refrigerator, what will happen? It will get spoiled. But there are rivers and oceans of milk existing for millions and billions of years, not getting spoiled. There is an ocean of sugarcane juice. There is an ocean of sugarcane juice. Why don't they bottle sugarcane juice and sell? Why don't they bottle sugarcane juice and sell? Anyone knows? Yeah, because it oxidizes. No. Someone says because it's easily available. No, because it very quickly ferments. Very quickly ferments. You cannot, if you squeeze out sugarcane juice and keep it outside without immediately refrigerating it, you can't drink it. It becomes like sour. It becomes sour. You have to properly refrigerate it. Yeah, color also changes. It becomes dark in color. So, but here are oceans of sugarcane juice. Okay. And in fact, if it does not get spoiled, recently someone was sharing in the temple that a particular for a particular festival, they purchased hundreds of liters of milk. Okay, hundreds of liters of milk to make paneer. Okay, so they were adding citric acid, lemon juice, and they were adding and adding and adding and adding, and it was not curdling at all. It was not curdling at all. So they were like really concerned. They were like really concerned. So they reported to the person who was providing the milk, and he was surprised. I don't know if he was surprised or not surprised. Because there is a chance that probably it was not milk only. He came and he added, and it was not curdling. So milk means it has to get spoiled. When an acidic substance comes in touch with it, it has to get spoiled. So either some other additives were added, which is not very good for health, or it must be synthetic milk. Okay. But these are not synthetic, but this ocean of milk is not synthetic milk, it is real milk. And it wouldn't get spoiled. Okay. So here he says the mangoes have their natural scent mixed with other fragrances as well. Yad upajoshanat bhavanya anucharinam punyajana vadunam avayasva sparsha sugandha vato dashayojanam samantad anuvasyati. From drinking the water of the river Arunoda, the bodies of the maid servants of Shiva's wives, who are the wives of the Yakshas, become fragrant, and the wind, fragrant from touching their bodies, perfumes the entire atmosphere for 10 yojanas around. एवं जम्बूफलानाम् अत्युच्च निपात विशीर्णानाम् अनस्तिप्रायाणाम् इबकाय निभानां रसेन जम्बूनाम नदी मेरुमंदर शिखराद अयुतयोजनाद अवनितले निपतन्ति दक्षिणेनात्मनां यावद इलावृतम उपस्यन्दयति. A river named Jambu Nadi, formed from the juice of the jambu fruit. Jambu is jamun fruit, which are as big as elephants and have small seeds, and which break into pieces because of falling from a great height, falls a distance of 10,000 yojanas from the summit of the Meru Mandara mountain, and then flows to the south, increasing its size to cover the length of Ilavrata. Anasti Prayana means having very small seeds. Dakshinena means in the southern direction. The river flows, increasing its length to the size of Ilavrata. That means it flows for 9,000 yojanas. Tavad ubayorapi rodasor ya mrittika tad रसेन अनुविद्यमान वायु अर्क संयोग विपाकेन सदा अमरलोक आभरणम जम्बूनदम नाम सुवर्णम भवति यद उह वाव विबुधादयः सह युवतिभिर् मुकुट कटक कटी सूत्रादि आभरण रूपेण खलु धारयन्ति. Now he is going to tell something which is going to be still mind boggling. Okay, so he says that the mud on both banks of the river Jambu Nadi, being moistened by the flowing juice, by a reaction with air and the sunshine, produces huge quantities of gold called Jambunada. It is called as Jambunada Hema. Hema is gold. Jambunada Hema is gold which is made from the reaction of the jamun fruit juice with mud, air, and sunlight. So when mud, air, and sunlight react with the jambu fruit juice, it becomes gold, he says. No. And not only that, he says, which the devatas use for ornaments. All the devatas and their youthful wives wear this gold in the form of golden crowns, bangles, and belts. Can you believe? So you have thousands and thousands of square miles and square kilometers of this Jambunada Hema, which is there, gold. How many of you would like to go to this place? So the mud of the entire banks mixed with the juice of the jambu fruit become gold called Jambunada. You know this, right? What is it called as? What is the name of that place which is filled with gold? Explorers have been. Is it El Dorado or something like that? So, anyways, yeah, El Dorado, right? Yeah, there. That is also not like this kind of gold. It has some lot of gold veins or things like that. You have to still extract it from the ore. It is not direct gold. But here, uh, you know, but here it says that it becomes directly gold. Yeah. Yastu महाकदम्बः सुपार्श्वनिरूधो यास्तस्य कोटरेभ्यो विनिसृताः पञ्च आयामपरिणाहः पञ्चमधुधाराः सुपार्श्वशिखरात् पतन्त्यो अपरेणात्मनम् इलावृतम् अनुमोदयन्ति. 5 rivers of honey, each about 5 yamas wide, which flow from the hollows of a tree called Mahakadamba, growing on Suparshva mountain, fall from the top of Suparshva mountain in the western direction and gives pleasure to itself and the whole of Ilavratavarsh. A whole river of honey, a whole river of honey. Can you imagine how much does a half a kilo bottle of really good quality honey, how much does it cost? Anyone knows? Good quality honey. I'm not talking about Dabur honey. Okay. I'm not talking about Dabur honey. I'm talking about really good quality honey. Half a kilo is about 1,500 rupees. Someone says 700 rupees. Okay. So let's say about 1,000 rupees, which means about 2,000 rupees per liter. Here you can go and pick up as much as you want. As much as you want. You can use honey in everything. instead of sugar. Okay, someone says here it's 6,000 rupees. Oh, yeah. Ayama means vyama. A vyama is the space produced by extending the two arms and the fingers. The width of each river is 5 vyamas. Another version has pancha vyama parinahaha. It feels pleasure itself by hearing the praises of the people. Okay, someone says that they got from GV for rupees 350 and they said it's pure organic. Yeah, okay. Yahi upayunjananam मुख निर्वासितो वायुः samantat shatayojanam anuvasyati. The air carrying the scent from the mouths of those who drink that honey perfumes the land for 100 yojanas around. 100 yojanas is 800 miles. So if you take that honey, if you drink that honey, and then you open your mouth, people within 800-mile radius can identify you. You know, they can experience that smell. If you have this kind of honey, how much would it cost? You know, I don't think anyone can buy it. Okay, this is this quality of honey. So then he says, एवं कुमुद निरूढो यः शतवल्सो नाम वटः तस्य स्कन्देभ्यो नीचीनाः पयो दधि मधु घृत गूढ अन्नादि अंबर शय्या आसन आभरणादयः सर्व एव कामदुगा नदाः कुमुदागरात् पतन्तः तम उत्तरेण इलावृतम् उपयोजयन्ति. Similarly, on Kumuda mountain, there is a great banyan tree which is called as Shatavalsha. Flowing down from its branches are many rivers fulfilling all desires such as milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food, clothing, bedding, seeds, and ornaments. There are rivers of ornaments flowing, rivers of clothing flowing, rivers of bedding flowing. Can you imagine? How would they flow? But they flow. These rivers flowing down from the top of the mountain to the northern side of the Ilavrita Varsha give happiness to Ilavrita. Shatavalshaha means 7 branches. Nichinaha means downward. Yan upajushananam na kadachit api prajanam vali palita klama sweda daurgandhya jara amaya mrityu shita ushna vaivarnya उपसर्गादयः तापविशेषा भवन्ति यावत् जीवं सुखं निरतिशयम् एव. The residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no suffering such as wrinkles, gray hair, fatigue, foul smelling perspiration, old age, disease, untimely death. You see here mrityu is called as untimely death, but death they have to have. Cold, heat, loss of luster, or troubles. They all live their whole life with unlimited happiness. Can you imagine? No wrinkles, no gray hair, no fatigue. Hmm. Kuranga, Kurara, Kusumba, Vaikanka, Trikuta, Shishira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nishada, Shinivasa, Kapila, Shanka, Vaidurya, Jarudi, Hamsa, Rishaba, Naga, Kalanjara, Naradadayo, Vimshati Girayo, Meroho, Karnikaya, Iva Kesarabhuta, Mooladeshe, Parita, Upakliptaha. So he says, there are 20 other mountains beautifully arranged around the foot of Meru, like the filaments around the whorl of a lotus flower. Their names are Kuranga, Kurara, Kusumba, Vaikanka, Trikuta, Shishira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nishada, Sinivasa, Kapila, Shanka, Vaidurya, Jarudi, Hamsa, Rishabha, Naga, Kalanjara, and Narada. Footnote, only 19 names are given, even though 20 is mentioned. So, Jatara Devakutau Merum Purvena Ashtadasha Yojana Sahasram Udgayatau Dvisahasram Prututungau Bhavataha Evam Aparena Pavana Pariyatrau Dakshinena Kailasha Karavirau Pragayatau Evam Uttaratas Trishringa Makarau Ashtabir Etaihi Parisrito Agnir Iva Paritas Chakasti Kanchanagirihi. On the eastern side of the Sumeru mountain are two mountains named Jatara and Devakuta, which extend to the north and south for 18,000 yojanas. Similarly, on the western side of Sumeru are two mountains named Pavana and Pariyatra, which also extend north and south for the same distance. On the southern side of Sumeru are two mountains named Kailash and Karavira, which extend east and west for 18,000 yojanas. And on the northern side of Sumeru, extending for the same distance east and west, are two mountains named Trishringa and Makara. The width and height of all these mountains is 2000 yojanas. Sumeru, a mountain of solid gold, surrounded by these 8 mountains, shines like fire. I mean, it's difficult to even imagine. There is nothing less than 2000 yojanas height. These mountains are like 2000 yojanas is, can you imagine? One yojana is 8 miles. 2000 yojanas is 16,000 miles. I mean, this is unbelievable. Anyways, Meror Murdani Bhagavata Atmayoner Madhyata Upakliptam Purim Ayuta Yojana Sahasrim Sama Chaturasram Shatakaumbim Vadanti. In the middle of the summit of Meru is the township of Lord Brahma. Each of its 4 sides is calculated to extend for many thousands of yojanas. It is made entirely of gold, and therefore learned scholars and sages call it Shatakumbi. It is made entirely of gold. The top of Sumeru measures 32,000 yojanas according to verse 7. The dimension of Brahma's city should thus probably not be uh, okay, I don't know one. 10 crore yojanas or 1,000 ayutas. Ayuta could mean many in this case. Okay. He's explaining how is it possible for, yeah. Tam anuparito lokapalanam ashtanam yatadisham yatarupam turiyamanena puro ashtav upakliptaha. Surrounding Brahmapuri in all directions are the residences of the 8 principal governors of the directions, beginning with King Indra. These abodes are similar to Brahmapuri, but are one-fourth the size. They are similar to Brahma's abode, but they are one-fourth the size. These cities are in the direction starting from the east, each with their particular deities such as Indra and their corresponding colors. Their size is 2.5 million yojanas. Their names are understood from other Puranas. On Meru, there are 9 cities named Manovati, Amaravati, Tejovati, Samyamani, Krishnangana, Shraddhavati, Gandhavati, Mahodaya, Yashovati, belonging to Brahma, Indra, Agni, and others. Thus ends the commentary on the 16th chapter of the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. Okay. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share, ask, and we can take it right now. Okay, there are some questions in the chat box. Let's take them first. In fourth canto also, there is such a description of Kailash mountain where Lord Shiva resides. Yeah. That banyan tree was 800 miles high and its branches spread over 600 miles around. The tree cast a fine shade which permanently cooled the temperature, yet there was no noise of birds. Yeah, correct. Yeah, sometimes pratyaksha may correlate with shabda. See, pratyaksha will always correlate with shabda. Just that we should know how to decode the shabda or what that shabda is communicating. Like I gave a simple example. Shabda said the distance between these two points is 1 meter. Okay, where or it can say, you know, 1 point. What is 3.14 by 2 pi d? Sorry, uh, 2 pi r pi r. So pi r is pi d by 2. Pi d by 2. If the distance is yeah, so 1.57. So the Shastras say the distance between these 2 points is 1.57 kilometers. But you measure it is only 1 kilometer. Okay. Now you may say that, okay, Shabda Praman is not matching Pratyaksha Praman. The problem was that you did not understand what the Shabda Praman meant by indicating the distance between the 2 points. As I said, you cannot bore through the earth and go to the other end of the earth. You will have to traverse half the perimeter. So if half the perimeter will be pi d by 2, it will not be d. So pi d by 2 will be 1.57 times d, and it will not be d. So that distance, so the difference will be there. And because you did not understand the Shabda properly, therefore you concluded that Shabda is not matching with Pratyaksha. Okay. So the problem is with our inability to decode the Shabda properly. The problem is not that Shabda is not matching with Pratyaksha Praman. Okay. That is the point. If our people know about this, they will try their level best to go there and bring gold in tons. Yeah, correct. Okay. People are thinking that they are leading very sophisticated life here with all the gadgets and inventions. They should hear all these. It's not even heaven, it's a place in Bhumandala. Yeah. Yeah. Our consciousness has shrunk so much that we are not able to believe this. Yeah, that is true. If places in material world are so opulent, what must be the opulence of the abode of the Lord in the spiritual world? Yeah. What? What is the difference between Brahmapuri and Brahmaloka? So Brahmapuri is a you can say an entertainment place for Brahma in Bhumandala. He comes and it's like a resort where he comes and spends some time and goes back. Okay. Okay. We hear about ancient scientists like Aryabhatta, Varahamihira, etc., who did phenomenal calculations about pi and the entire number systems, etc. Is it probable that they base their work on the Vedic cosmology? Yeah, probably. Yes. Okay. Uh, yes, Shivakumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams, Prabhu.
Dandavat.
Prabhu, one question, Prabhu. I am sorry, I have not thought through. I mean, I just had at a high level, Prabhu. I'm just trying to bring it up. I hopefully I will convey it clearly. Just help me also. So, I'm just trying to understand, Prabhu, the role of uh, not the role or um, trying to kind of help someone remove the ignorance, Prabhu. The basically the self-realization or removing the ignorance of this bodily conception of life. So I'm trying to understand uh, the effect of the impact that the love creates, Prabhu, in this endeavor. Uh, I mean, let's take maybe in terms of sharing bhakti. Bhakti is also a part of bhakti is self-realization, right, Prabhu? The first part of it. So the effect that the love has someone, and I'm trying to compare it, the dependency on jnana, Prabhu, knowledge of the person realizing that he is not the body.
Mhm.
In my experience, I do see that the impact that the love creates seem to be tremendous, Prabhu. I must admit that, as against my opinion earlier, preconception or opinion of that, that I was thinking it is the knowledge that would have a significant deep impact in someone in terms of realizing that he is not the body. But I do see in my experience that the love seemed to create a tremendous impact, Prabhu. But at the same time, I am also noticing that it seems the impact that it creates seem to disappear with the time, Prabhu. In that sense, I'm thinking still, would the person to whom we try to share bhakti still requires some level of jnana, knowledge, wisdom from Shastra, like in this case, to pick for an argument's sake, to kind of realize that he's not the body and to understand that he is servant of Krishna. So I'm just trying to hear a few words around that, Prabhu. I'm not sure if you have kind of conveyed. Let me know, Prabhu. Maybe I can.
Yeah. Bhakti itself generates that knowledge. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah.
Mm,
Janetyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayada Hetukam. So
mm,
Bhakti creates the ability to assimilate that knowledge also.
mm. Prabhu,
So,
Prabhu, just one point I want to add, Prabhu, here. I'm not talking about the person who is taken up the pursuit, Prabhu, the devotee. The devotee who is trying to share bhakti with someone else. Let's take a case of example of a family member.
mm,
Now, when I try to share bhakti, the impact that the love creates in that person uh,
mm.
in sharing bhakti versus the person himself should possess some knowledge uh, to kind of sustain that this thing I'm talking about, that Prabhu. The impact
Yeah,
that it
see,
creates in other.
knowledge means
Mm,
knowledge comes from, first thing, knowledge comes from faith in the pramana.
mm, okay, okay. Mm,
Because
mm,
for you to get knowledge of calculus,
mm,
first you should believe
mm,
in the book and the teacher who is going to teach you calculus. You have to have faith that they are bona fide.
mm, mm,
If first thing you don't have that faith only,
mm,
then you will not pursue to gain knowledge from it.
mm, 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 mm,
Okay.
mm.
So that foundation, the foundation of knowledge is faith in the pramana.
Okay, okay. Mm,
So now if someone has to say
mm,
that you are not this body, you are the soul,
mm.
for them they have to have some faith in the pramana.
Okay, okay. Mm,
That faith in the pramana comes
mm,
when there is trustworthy exchanges between the personality who is presenting that pramana.
okay. Mm, mm.
So,
Okay, okay.
so the role of the devotee,
Mm,
at least the initial role of the devotee, is to help that person develop faith in the pramana through by facilitating some sukriti.
okay. Mm, mm, mm.
So,
Okay,
by that they will develop some faith in the bhakti shastras.
Okay. Okay.
And when they develop that faith in the Bhakti Shastras, then they will gain knowledge from the Bhakti Shastras. So, in order to gain knowledge from the Bhakti Shastras, they have to first trust that Bhakti Shastras are a bona fide source of knowledge. And for that, they need some Sukruti. That Sukruti comes from the association of Vaishnavas.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like that.
Okay. Beautiful, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, just one extension, Prabhu, to this question. Now, is that possible? Is that feasible that the person to whom we are trying to share bhakti uh, can just get this knowledge without them having to first hand have that faith or approach Shastra just through my loving exchange in terms of trying to give this knowledge? In the sense, can this knowledge be just given in terms of love itself without them having first hand study and appreciating the knowledge, Prabhu? Is that even possible? Or
It may seem possible to you,
Mm,
but how it happens is that
mm,
if you love them, if you shower love on them,
mm,
then they will develop faith that
mm,
they may not have read Bhagavad Gita,
mm,
but they will trust that
mm,
whatever may be the source of knowledge from which he is deriving his knowledge
mm,
must be bona fide.
mm, 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 mm,
That faith they will get.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
If the person is so good,
mm,
if he is so nice,
mm,
then those literatures which he is taking shelter of
mm,
must be similarly nice
mm,
because
mm.
he is conducting his life based on those scriptures.
Okay. Mm, mm, mm,
So,
mm,
therefore, the knowledge that he is giving must be
mm,
bona fide.
mm, mm,
So, you don't have to have faith in the, you don't have to actually have studied Bhagavad Gita to have faith in the message of Bhagavad Gita.
mm,
In fact, you don't even have to
mm,
know the message of Bhagavad Gita
mm,
to trust the message of Bhagavad Gita.
mm, 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 mm,
Uh,
mm,
Even prior to that, you may think that if your family member, if one of your family member is so mesmerized
mm,
by your association,
mm, mm,
then they will naturally think that whatever may be the pramana based on which this person is conducting his life
mm,
must be bona fide.
mm, mm,
He may
mm,
not even know that it is Bhagavad Gita.
mm, 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 mm,
So he already has, without even knowing Bhagavad Gita, he has faith in Bhagavad Gita.
mm, mm, mm,
Subsequently, when he gets that Bhagavad Gita, he has all the prerequisite faith
mm,
to trust what
mm,
is there in it.
mm, mm, mm. Okay. Okay. Mm. Okay. So Prabhu, just this brings up another question, Prabhu. As you are explaining, thank you, Prabhu. This is beautiful. Then why are we saying that? Like, say, I just chant and I have prasadam and I do some service, do deity worship and all that. But my dependency on Shastra as a sadhaka in Vaidhi Bhakti, are we not insisting that the Shastra, the dependency on Shastric knowledge is essential for a Vaidhi Bhakti, Prabhu? For a sadhaka?
Yeah,
Mm,
that is needed
mm,
because once you have, once you are really enamored
mm,
by the literature which is inspiring this kind of behavior in the other person,
mm,
wouldn't you naturally want to study that scripture and know what is given in that scripture yourself?
mm. Yes, Prabhu. Mm,
That's it. So
mm,
if you want to know
mm,
that if someone has become uh, very rich
mm,
or very knowledgeable,
mm,
you have already developed faith in the source of the faith in the source from which he's getting that knowledge. Then
mm.
if you have developed faith in it, wouldn't you yourself want to go and uh, take shelter of that knowledge?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
It is natural.
Mm. So Prabhu, I'm just sorry, Prabhu, just trying to kind of qualify the question. So what I'm saying is, if I am sharing bhakti to a person and the way the exchanges happen, like you said, he would not even know the name of the source from where I am getting the knowledge, but he gets that favorable experience from me, and then he has faith. But for him to take it up bhakti, say seriously, as much as the person who is trying to give bhakti, if that person is say illiterate, does
Uh-huh.
it mean that he is handicapped as far the Vaidhi Bhakti is concerned? So that's what
No.
I'm trying to understand. Can he just become a devotee, pursue pure devotional service if he is an illiterate and cannot study or grasp and assimilate the knowledge?
Yeah, illiterates cannot read, but they can hear and assimilate.
Mm,
They
mm,
can hear and assimilate.
okay, okay.
So
Mm,
bhakti is the language of love. You
mm,
don't need a very high literacy level to understand the language of love.
okay, okay. Mm,
So
mm,
yeah,
mm,
there is no handicap.
okay, okay, okay. Beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Ananga Sundari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Another.
Like people, I think people have faith in Bhagavad Gita, but if I take my example, when I heard Bhagavad Gita from different people of different institutions, I could not understand it clearly. But when I heard Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I could understand it, I mean, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to my relatives, I have seen that they say many times they like the other Bhagavad Gitas.
Okay.
They have faith in Bhagavad Gita,
Mm.
but when it comes to Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, they say we can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I could not understand what is wrong with me or them. Like,
Well, uh, it depends whether they have sufficient sukriti for bhakti at all, because the other Bhagavad Gitas may not necessarily be communicating the message of pure devotional service. And attraction is very much state specific. Like for example, someone in Sattva cannot appreciate spicy vada pav, which a Rajoguni person is, really relishing a lot. Similarly, a Rajoguni person cannot relish sattvic non-spicy khichdi, which a sattvic person is relishing. So, liking and likes and dislikes are very much state specific. Similarly, when it comes to shastras also, attraction to particular shastras, particular commentaries is also very much state specific. That state is defined by what we are talking now as Sukriti. So if the Sukriti is there, if the Bhaktionmukhi Sukriti is there, then they will find that commentary of Bhagavad Gita which is described with uh, devotion. Whereas if they don't have that Sukriti, if they have Bhogonmukhi Sukriti or Mokshonmukhi Sukriti, Sukriti for Bhoga and Moksha, then they might get attracted to um, those commentaries of Bhagavad Gita, which are written by people whose consciousness is very much filled with desire for Bhoga and Moksha. So one should not say that if Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is the best Bhagavad Gita, then naturally everyone should get attracted to Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita only. So
yeah.
that cannot be said. You cannot say like that.
And one uncle said, like, I don't want to read purports of anybody.
Hmm.
I just want to read the slokas.
Yeah.
And I know we cannot understand slokas without purports,
Yeah. So
acharya.
basically, what he says is not wrong. What he says is not wrong. He does not believe that the commentators of the Bhagavad Gita are any more qualified than he himself. which is very reasonable. Which is very reasonable. Why should he believe that someone, some unknown person who has commented on the Bhagavad Gita, whom he does not know at all, is more qualified than him? Why should he believe? He doesn't believe. But at least he believes that Krishna is more qualified than him. That he is willing to hear Krishna's words. So, if someone says that I can read the original shloka, but I cannot read anyone's commentary, yeah, that is very natural because they don't know the person, so they don't have faith that the person who has commented upon it is any more qualified than oneself. And it's a very reasonable feeling. I empathize with this feeling. Now, we have that sufficient Sukriti. So we have developed faith in the parampara. We have developed faith in the parampara acharyas. So we are very clear that these personalities are way more qualified than myself. Whereas for them to develop that faith is very unreasonable. That's fine. So when they get sufficient Sukriti, then gradually over a period of time, they may also start believing that, oh, these acharyas are more qualified, like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. This problem is faced in many places. This is due to the fact is Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita so much in detail many a times it shows our true nature which people don't want to accept. Yeah. But one should try to believe and develop faith because in Bhagavad Gita only the Lord says Tadvidi Pranipatena. Yeah, he says that, but how it is exactly explained or understood by the person who is reading, uh, or how much he thinks that this verse is a very cardinal verse, okay, applicable to everyone, we do not know. If he is going to give his own interpretation of that verse, then he can interpret it the way he wants. So he may not think that it's such a very important thing, such a very important principle. Okay. Okay, I think we'll pause here. We will continue the discussion tomorrow. So tomorrow we will start with the 17th chapter of the 5th canto. So thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.